Today we're going to cast an Age of Empires game. This is a game that I played against Dindo Nix. I was playing Holy Romans and he's playing Mongols. And I thought that it was a good example of kind of a way that you can sort of counter the Mongol Tower Rush and some of the early, kind of how to compensate for some of the early aggression that you experience on ladder. So, as soon as I know that I'm playing against a Mongol player, I know that it's probably going to be a pretty long feudal age. I'm not really committed to going castle age for a while, even though I do eventually want to be able to turtle up and outscale my opponent here. You can see that he's already gaining an advantage over me here as he constructs his ovu and he starts getting more units. Now my opponent does make a couple of pretty critical errors here that make this defense a lot more successful. I think there are some plays that he could have made that probably would have made my life a lot more difficult. And I'll kind of walk you through those as we go here. But yeah, so we're getting our house up, and then we're going to immediately start getting to gold. And one thing that I learned, and I've only just started now exercising, is the prelate's gathering buff lasts for like 30 seconds. Yeah, so that means that you can get all these guys stacked with blessings, and then you can walk him away for a little while to bless another pickup location. So I'm going to be utilizing this to try and get a faster feudal age. Now I do miss a couple of villager productions here. Yeah, just as I'm like out microing my scout, I believe, and trying to collect sheep. It's really hard for me to find sheep on Highview. I always have that problem. I don't know if there's like a pathing issue or what's up with it. Yeah, so here we walk our prelate over. He gives these guys the blessing and then comes back. And now that's another thing too, is we actually have a pretty safe gold node. It's like out behind our base here. And you'll see the Khan come and scout that pretty quickly, actually. He's probably coming over to take a look right now. Yeah, and here he actually gets really close to my town center. If I had dove all my villagers into my town center, I might have had a good opportunity to just snipe his Khan straight down. But there he gets away, just barely. Okay, so I pick up a few sheep, then I go and I drop them off. And now we now have villagers going for wood. And again, so the first thing that's in our favor is that all of our resource nodes are super protected. They're behind our town center, they're hard to access. Yeah, and here he sees my gold node. And now one thing I didn't expect, but pretty quickly now he's building a barracks. And I know that they start building spearmen in the Dark Age, but I wasn't quite expecting it. But I'm very fortunate here. So there we go, we age up, we pulled 2 villagers to build Aachen Chapel. And this is a nice Aachen Chapel because it hits all of these super safe resource nodes. Okay. So I'm not sure, I think I rotate back over here and this is where I see his first 2 spearmen come out. Yep, and I'm really lucky that I spot this. I see the barracks, I see the spearmen, and I'm like, okay, it's coming. You know, so at this point, I'm prepared to pull my villagers back. I don't know where he's coming with this spear rush. But I know that his goal is going to be to use towers to control my high-value resource nodes. So he can't get on my food very well, and I'm hoping that he can't get on my wood very well. But I know that gold is going to become an issue, so soon I think I pull my prelate over, and the whole goal is just to keep that gold node working as fast as possible before he denies it to me. Yep. You can see here a spearman come. Yeah, and that's one thing, is he already has a plan here to access my gold node through this back door. That's his whole goal. Yeah, so here he's just trying to slow my feudal push. but I just bring my villagers up into a safe location and I use my scout to zone off his con, and it works really well.
Guitar.
And now I know he's building spearmen, and I know that he's going to be building them in quite a few numbers, and he'll probably be using outposts, like a few arrow towers, to supplement his push. And so I know that really the only way that I have to counter this directly, especially since I'm going to be behind in unit production, is to use heavy armor. And just try to get a critical mass of men-at-arms. So here we get our first barracks up, and we're starting to turn out men-at-arms now. Okay, now he pulls in, so we pull our scout back. And now he's really close to denying me these resource nodes. Now here's where my good fortune comes in. And you'll see here in just a second. So I hit feudal. Yep, and right here, these guys jump in the tower. I don't think he sees this resource node yet. This prelate chills, and I think this villager gets away. I don't think I let him just take it. So yeah, we go back. We're still trying to prioritize getting as much gold as possible. Yeah, we're starting to put out men-at-arms. We're investing as much as we can into getting a defensive force here. Yep, and so right here I'm a little anxious, so I try to route my villagers around as far away from his outpost as possible. And now I know this is going to be the outpost that denies me my gold node. But yeah, we're just trying to keep a level head here. We know the pressure's coming. We know we're outnumbered. So we're just continuing to build villagers. We're starting to collect stone, and we're going to be using it to build stone wall towers. And what they give is they give us a static emplacement that can actually combat like rams and deal some extra damage to outposts. So it actually winds up being super beneficial. Now here I think we try... Yeah, so here we're getting... This is where we're going to build the stone wall tower, now that we've got some stone. Yep, and here we start missing villagers just because we're under pressure. And we forget, and we build 2 more barracks because we know that we're behind. We know that he's trying to just rush us. He's putting as much pressure as he can on us. He's double producing constantly. Here he's getting his archery range, and he's going to start building archers. So we're depending on the heavy armor to eventually force him out once we get a critical mass of men-at-arms. So here we run out of food, so we'll come over, and we'll drop a mill, and we'll bring our prelate over as well, and he'll be able to start letting us collect berries super fast. And we know that we're denied off of gold. So I still want to try to go castle though. And yeah, here we lose both of these villagers, which is super unfortunate. So we're denied off of gold, and this tower's taking aggro now. And he's got a serious mass of spearmen. So this is what warranted the second barracks. I got two barracks now. And so now he comes in to raid my Aachen, and I pull my villagers off. I'm like, okay, this resource node is too dangerous to stay. So I rotate them over to this forest here. Eventually. I think for a while I'm just collecting berries. Now, one thing that was visible to me, and I start getting an idea rotating my villagers over here, is I'm like, okay, I need gold. I need to go castle. He's going to outscale me if he denies me gold. So, if we reveal the map, there's a gold node right here, and a deer herd, and that's going to become super important once we start trying to go castle age here. Yeah, and so now we're starting to get that critical mass of men-at-arms going. We're using spears to supplement them. Mainly we're going to be using the spears as light infantry. They're going to be garrisoning the tower, getting the arrows up. We've got the stone wall tower to deny the ram pushes. And now he's got a serious force there. So here we're just trying to deny him from pushing it any closer. Yep, and here we're just trying to draw him back into a suboptimal engagement. So here our spearmen will go into the tower. There, and now we've got that spring on shooting. So yeah, we bank up a lot of food so that we can keep getting infantry out. And it's about the only thing we can do right now is just get food. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, and so now that we've got quite a few men-at-arms, we're going to really start trying to dive in there and pressure a little bit, trying to deny that outpost for as long as possible. And so now realizing that I'm out of gold, and especially that I need men-at-arms as well as other things, I'm eventually going to start pulling out. Yep, and here we see I'm going for the gold node, and I'm going for the lumber camps. And I don't think that he's capable of seeing that. He thinks that as long as he denies me this gold node and this lumber camp, that he's done his job. And in a lot of ways he has. But he never even tries to rotate over and deny me these resources. So we're able to bring a prelate down and really start getting a lot of gold. And soon we'll be building a second external prelate just to continue trying to get us resources. So now we're back on wood, we're back on gold, we've got a good bank of stone, and we're going to run out of food, and then we'll drop a mill here and we'll start collecting. And that's one thing, is his army can't be everywhere at once, and he's really trying to just rely on his outposts to wear down my force of men-at-arms. So now that I've got my prelate here getting gold, we've got a lot of food banked, and now we're going to start putting out men-at-arms. There they come. Now we're gonna start getting upgrades. So the things we're gonna be going for are ranged armor to reduce the effectiveness of the arrows. He's starting to get a lot of arrows now. And we're gonna be going for siege engineering. And siege engineering is gonna allow us to build a ram to soak up some of that arrow fire and take out these outposts a little bit more quickly. Yeah, and he is pretty committed to the push, but he's also, looks like he's also planning on going Castle Age soon. Yeah, he's also getting a lot of deer of his own now. Yep, and he's prepping for Castle. He's getting a little bit of gold. He's still stacking stone, though. Zubu's almost exhausted. And as you can see, he's got a serious force now. But he's reluctant to push, because he knows that we have the arrow power, and all he has is light infantry. And now we've got the arrow tower shooting. Yep. So yeah, here we try to draw him in again. He commits now that he doesn't see my forces there. But now it's about time. We've got enough wood banked for a ram. We've got quite a few men-at-arms here. So we have the mass probably to start pushing this, but we're gonna get the ram first. It's very important that we get the ram first. Yep. And now that we're getting siege engineering, we're gonna get ranged armor after siege engineering. Now we're gonna be getting a ram going. So I see him starting to wrap around my base there. And we're very lucky that the town center catches that villager and denies him that outpost. Because if he was able to wrap down here with that outpost and see this mill and see this mining camp, that could have been really bad. We might have been locked out of the game at that point. Okay, so here we complete siege engineering. And yeah, now we're just starting to cause trouble. We know we've got the heavy armor. We know we've got the advantage. So let's start torching outposts. Let's start getting the damage going. Let's start trying to kill units, trying to wear his forces down. And he takes that fight and he loses quite a few guys. We lose a couple men-at-arms ourselves. But dropping that tower is huge. Now we can start operating in front of our base again. And this tower is going down. He tries to go for the ram. We go for our own ram. We've got more men-at-arms coming out. And at this point, he's getting pretty close. He's only 15 food off of going castle. Luckily, he runs out here, and he's still working gold very slowly. But he's kind of committed here. That's one thing that's working in our favor, is he's very committed to trying to take us out. So here we're very lucky. He pushes in, tries to get our chapel, which we're not even utilizing, which is causing him a lot of problems. And now that we've got our ramp, we've got the heavy armor, we're just going to commit here. We've got the numbers, so let's just wipe his army, especially if he's going to commit to trying to fight with light infantry. This really does not favor him. So we get the con, we get his spearmen, we get his archers, we get the tower, we push him. And that's the Tower Rush. That's the Dark Age Tower Rush counter. Very lucky that we had this operation back here. We've reclaimed our territory. We can get back on our Aachen Chapel nodes. We can start boosting our economy again that way. And we've been banking stone this entire time, which is going to be important as we start to try and expand the defenses of our base so that he can't get in here and cause us any further trouble. Especially since now that he's back on food, he's getting close to 600 gold, he's getting close to 1200 food. He's getting ready to go Castle Age. But we're doing the same thing. We've run out of hunts, but we're coming back in, we're getting our Aachen farm economy started. And this is what's really going to give us the strength that we need to actually go Castle Age and stay relevant in this game. So here we're just maintaining security, we're defending our base with our men-at-arms that we've built now that we've won this fight in the back. We'll eventually be pulling these villagers back in to get on this gold node. We've got a market up now as well, just in case we need to buy our way to Castle Age to stay relevant. Because now he's spent his money, he's getting his second landmark built, which is going to be the Steppe Redoubt. So he's going Castle Age right now, and we're behind. Yeah, as you can see, like our Holy Roman economy hasn't kicked in yet. So we're just kind of sitting tight. We're not trying to push out, we're not trying to cause problems. We don't know what he's doing. He's getting close to Castle Age. And I know that he's scaling for Castle Age. So if we had been a little bit more aggressive, we might have been able to push out with our men-at-arms. But then our base would have been more or less defenseless. He'd have been able to come in here with spearmen and archers and start causing trouble. But we've got the back door secured. We're starting to get a wall up. And we're going to wall this entire space off to try and capture all of these resource nodes. There's also a holy site back here that's going to give us more gold income if we can capture it. There's another gold node back here. What's interesting is at this point, I don't see any relics on the map. You know, I go Regnance, and literally I don't see a single relic. I'm actually at this point wondering, I'm like, did he somehow use his shaman to get all the relics in the feudal age? Because I don't know. I don't know if he can do that or not. It turns out that no, but we're going Castle Age. We're only halfway there. He's Castle Age now, and I'm sending prelates out. Now I see this one. Prelate goes and sits right there, waits for me to go castle. And this guy's just going out. He's trying to take a position, so that way if the scout spots another relic, he can get over to it fast. Now that our opponent's Castle Age, he's got to have other ideas soon. So his Ovu's up. He's got 2 barracks now, and he's getting men-at-arms. Now I don't know he's going men-at-arms. I actually assumed he was going lancers, so I'm building spearmen to try and protect against a lancer push. Because I'm assuming his economy's stronger than mine, and I'm assuming that he's going to go mass lancers to try and start torching my buildings down. We're still getting our wall up, we're preparing to turtle up, we're preparing to get the wall wrapped. And again, now we're coming out, we're trying to provide security. We don't know what he has, we're just trying to zone everybody off of this wall so that we can get it built. Luckily here, we've got our prelate in the center of the map ready. We're not receiving any pressure. And we do finally locate the second relic right there. So now the prelate's gonna go pick it up. Yeah, so yeah, we're really leaning on these men-at-arms. And I start looking at my force and I'm like, these guys are super wounded. You know, if he comes in, these guys, like, they're gonna hang tough for a minute, but they're gonna go down pretty quick. So I kind of pulled him back pretty soon. And yeah, he's still just building these men-at-arms. He's trying to counter my heavy armor with his heavy armor. But now that we're Castle Age, I'm gonna build triple archery range and I'm gonna start building crossbowmen. Because whatever he's building, crossbowmen are gonna give me the DPS that I need to really work down any forces that he has. But I forget that Mongols get siege engineering, so he's outright building for like mangonels right now. And I'm really not aware of that. I don't think he has the capability to build mangonels yet, so I'm kind of banking on the first fight being an infantry fight. We get the outpost up, so we've got some vision now of the woods here. I'm going to commit to building a second outpost here, and I'm going to try to keep working this. But he's coming in. He's pretty committed now, and he's almost here. And here I see him. I'm like, okay, well, we'll move to intercept him. And now we get into this little fight. And now here comes the mangonel. Any second now it's going to start setting up and shooting, and there it is. And that's a big hit. And realizing this, I just commit to taking it out. Like, even if I lose this infantry, killing this mangonel, and taking the time that I need to get some villagers over here, buy the time to finish this wall. We're going to go Imperial immediately with the Palace of Swabia as well, so that we can scale our economy even further. We've got 2 relics. We're kind of banking on that gold income to really keep us relevant here. So we pull back the rest of the army that we've got here. We'll bring our spare prelates up, now that we've got this sacred site secured as well. And we'll start healing, trying to take advantage of the fact that this heavy armor is really hard to take health off of to get more value out of these units. So now here, he's using siege engineering, he's building more mangonels. He doesn't know I'm going Imperial yet, but he's trying to commit to a strong push before I'm able to scale my economy. Yeah, so we pull more villagers. I don't even see this relic. At this point, all of my attention is focused up here. So that's kind of a misplay not coming over here and grabbing this relic. But I want to finish this wall and keep him from backdooring. We don't need to go outside now, and now that the Palace of Swabia is done, we can start hard scaling our economy with a lot of villagers. And if we can just let that economy come in, we can win in the Imperial Age. Now we can outscale him in the Imperial Age. But it is getting pretty tense now. He's got a mangonel. He's building a ram. He'll be building more mangonels and rams as he continues producing men-at-arms. And right now we're not too focused, we're not too fixated on building men-at-arms like we should be. We're Imperial Age, but we don't have any of the elite upgrades. We're getting our crossbowmen started. But our army's looking pretty lackluster. And here comes that first ram. So he's got a mangonel, and it's just gonna sit in the woods, and it's gonna wait for me to try to stop his push. So the healing that we've got on our army is some, but we're gonna have to commit to trying to defend this gate now. So he's getting a second ram going. His mangonel's waiting in surprise. We're trying to wait as long as we can. We've got crossbowmen coming out now. Palace of Swabia is pumping out villagers. We've got our wall off. So now back here is secured for now. He's really trying to focus this gate, and he's got the numbers to do it now. So now we've got a lot of production. We're just trying to lean on that. We're trying to get crossbowmen to give us some extra DPS. I know that he's going men-at-arms now. We're trying to get some repairing going. He's not really going to let us do that. And he's ready, and he's committed. And this is where things get really tense, because he comes in strong right here. He gets a spring-hauled up, and he starts pushing with those rams. And there's not much that I can do here. I go for the cannon emplacement, but it's just a little too late. So we try to deal damage. Now we're going to start rallying in the back of the base. We're going to try to frontline here. We're going to pull our villagers back. We're going to start grabbing the gold right here. We've got a bunch of villagers here. We've got a bunch of villagers here getting wood. We've got a nice, strong Aachen farm economy. It could be better, but we're getting a lot of food from it. And now here, we go for a siege equipment. We get the mangonel. Now we kind of commit to a fight here. We're outnumbered, but we've got the crossbows, and we've got the Holy Roman. We've got the heavy maces, and we've got the Holy Roman heavy armor. So we've got the armor piercing to get through his men-at-arms, even if we're outnumbered. We're bringing in as many reinforcements as we can, and we're going to start building bombards soon. I would like to build culverins, but we're going to start with the bombards just for the extra DPS. In the meantime, we're just continuing to build crossbowmen. We've got our prelates healing. We're going to pull these guys back. We're going to get more villagers on food. We're healing again, trying to maximize the value out of that heavy armor. He's getting another mangonel. 2 mangonels. He's got the spring-hauled here that I'm not aware of yet. We're just trying to get enough units out to stop this push. We're getting more men-at-arms out. We're starting to build archers. Just as many units as we can, because he's coming in. Our first bombard comes out, and here's the push. So now all of his units are low. We've been healing. Big mangonel shot comes in. So we run the bombard down. The bombard's whole job is to snipe the artillery so that our infantry can do their job. And now in we come. Now he's kind of disjointed here. We've got a lot of crossbowmen to deal damage. Luckily that shot hit our crossbowmen, and it didn't hit our front line. Our crossbowmen are still alive to deal damage. We've got our first bombard opening up on that ram. We've got a second bombard coming out, and it's going to be firing. And now, this is where artillery micro comes in, super important. So we're going to take one bombard, and we're going to start attacking this, then this, then this. And we're going to take the other one, and we're going to go back along in the other direction in the line. So what that does is it spreads the fire so that they're not overlapping targets and wasting shells attacking the same target. So he'll get a few extra shots, but overall his DPS is going to be turning off a lot faster. We get another bombard out. Our front line's starting to get a little thin. Our guys are starting to get a little thin, but we're pulling in the extra men, pulling in our crossbows. We're keeping a level head here. Now here we win. We win this engagement, and he surrenders. At this point, we've completely outscaled his economy. We've got the Palace of Swabia, and we wiped his army. So, if we back out of there and we take a look at the timeline of that fight, this gets to be sort of interesting. So the unit count, right, in the early game we do take a lot of hits and losses, but then we're able to recover and outscale him with our economy. And one thing we did is we just tried to focus on building villagers, keeping our villager production up. He was able to come in and cause trouble in different parts. We honestly probably could have kept a level head and kept our villager production a little bit better. But we honestly outpaced him. I forgot we're red here. We outpaced him in our villager production. And I think that kind of tells a big story, because he was not under pressure for this whole game. So he could have continued building villagers at a steady rate, and he could have had quite a few villagers by the end of that. But he made the mistake of focusing too much on what was going on inside of my base, and not enough on what was going on inside of his base. And so we were able to counter his tower rush and then outscale him through patient play. I think that if he had kept those villagers going, his army would have been too large for us to handle in the Castle Age. But he knew that when we went Imperial, he wasn't going to be able to stop us. And so you can see that as soon as we go Imperial, he commits to that attack, and we do take a lot of losses, but we're able to recover, and then we're able to come back with our large number of crossbowmen. So I hope that was informational. The big takeaway that from stopping early aggression like that I always have is that you can't force yourself to go to Castle Age. You kind of have to do it naturally after you've defended against the aggression and you have a clear advantage. Because if you do that, that's 1,800 resources that you're investing into something that's not going to benefit you for a long time. And in the meantime, that's 1,800 resources your opponent could be spending on an army. And that's 20 men-at-arms. You know, that's 30 spearmen, which is not something to sniff at, you know. Not to mention the fact that those spearmen can come to your base and they can build siege equipment. You know, he can have all kinds of things, you know. Yeah, that's 30 spearmen on top of an army that's already the size of yours. So that's definitely something to consider. If you go too early, you're not going to be able to stop it. Let's see, yeah, that's 10 knights, which seems insignificant, but... So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good night.